and welcome to MapleWoodian.com podcast. We have on the phone former mayor, former planning commission member, former township committeeman, current attorney, and all-around environmental activist, Fred Profeta. How are you, sir?
I'm good, Joe.
Thanks. We haven't talked to you in a while, but we know you're always involved in many activities. One of them we wanted to ask about is the dam at South Mountain Reservation, which I know you've sought to have people learn about, and I think a lot of people would be curious, why would they want to dam up an area of South Mountain Reservation? That alone usually makes people concerned who aren't even real environmentalists, who just know the reservation is a great place to go and see a lot of wildlife and not so wildlife. But if you could just sort of give the basics of what this dam project is and sort of what the concern is right now.
Well, in a word, it's an abomination, and I'll tell you how we got there. But imagine, if you will, an 880-foot long dam, 70 feet high, in the neighborhood of the intersection between Brookside Drive and Glen in Millburn, which is just north of the Paper Mill Playhouse.
Okay.
Imagine that huge earthen dam with millions of tons of water behind it, which would take out Brookside Road, by the way. But this would not, by the way, be a dam in the sense that you and I usually think of it. Mm-hmm. It would be an earthen levee, and there would not be a lake behind it, but rather this would be a detention basin. So you wouldn't even end up with a nice lake. What you'd end up with is a huge cavern that would be devoid of everything that we know and are used to in the reservation in that spot, because it would be removed, because this thing would be alternatively filled with water and then drained, filled with water and then drained.
So what waterway are they damming up exactly?
This is the west branch of the Rahway River.
Okay, it is the Rahway River.
Yeah. Now,
and what area of you said it's near the Millburn section?
Yeah, it's at the corner. It's at the light. Mm-hmm. Which is at the corner of Brookside Drive and Glen Avenue. Right,
which is a very well-traveled area. A lot of people who go to the reservation get there through that part of it.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't be able to anymore.
Okay.
And then just to if you're coming along Glen, going into Short Hills, just to the left is the Paper Mill Playhouse.
Right, okay, so that's easy for people to picture.
Yeah. So that's where it is. That's the neighborhood of this enormous construction.
Now, they would dam up part of the Rahway River. What's this is the Army Corps of Engineers?
It's their proposal. Yeah. Now, it's one of 7, you should know.
Right.
I mean, the problem is that the Rahway River floods downriver communities.
Right.
One of them being Millburn, but the one that gets the worst flooding is Cranford.
Right.
Now, there are a lot of alternatives downstream from here that would prevent flooding in Cranford. But they, of course, implicate the town of Cranford, and Cranford, not wanting to do anything in their backyard, have elected to point the Army Corps of Engineers in the direction of our backyard. Now, it isn't that the people in Cranford are not well-meaning folks. It's just that this is something that removes a burden from them, and of course, it's their town which built in the floodplain. And it's their town which experiences the flooding. And there are solutions and alternatives other than this which are available. But right now, the difficult part is that the Army Corps of Engineers, which has authority to do this sort of thing, is listening to the people who have taken the Cranford point of view. Which at the present point in time, by the way, unfortunately, includes the Millburn Township Committee and a new mayor, Tillotson, who has joined an alliance with Cranford for this purpose. Mm-hmm. So that's what we're confronting, and in response to that, we have formed an organization called Save Our Reservation, which is accumulating enormous support at enormous speed, and will be in a position to oppose this and make the point to the proper appointed and elected officials.
And what is the next step for this group?
The next step will.
Do you have a meeting planned in March?
There's going to be a meeting. We're setting this up. It's going to be a meeting of dedicated volunteers. Anybody who is who wants to be a volunteer to work to prevent this dam should get in touch with me. Should email me. They can email me at frp713@gmail.com. And this will be a meeting that we will set up for these folks. That will be a working meeting, and we'll plan how we will organize the opposition to this dreadful alternative.
Now, and then do you have a meeting date set? I thought you had told me in March, but there's no specific date, or there is?
We don't know exactly when that will be at the moment.
But to reach out to you at your email.
Yeah.
And the idea is to seek alternatives. The approach of the dam is to ease the flooding downstream in Cranford and other areas?
Yeah, the water comes down the Rahway River at a mighty clip when it's a big storm. And it has, like every other river, a floodplain.
Yes.
And a lot of downtown Cranford is built in that floodplain. And so when it floods, these businesses are damaged. No denying that. But there's a lot of different solutions. One of them is to widen and deepen the channel in Cranford. Mm-hmm. One of them is and that includes removing some dams that exist in that area right now. Another one, an upriver solution in our backyard, if you will, is to dredge the existing ponds in the reservation to a deeper level, to turn them into natural detention basins, so that they can collect the water and it can come downstream. It can be released slowly, so it comes downstream slowly. And we don't need to build a new detention basin with an 880-foot dam.
And the idea is this dam, again, would be sort of open and closed. It would fill up, and then they would release the water as requested. What's the cost here, and who's paying for it? I'm afraid to ask.
I don't know the total cost, and the Army Corps of Engineers has been very opaque about this process. The proposal for this is now on the desk of Governor Christie. Mm-hmm. The New Jersey State Department of Environmental Protection signed an agreement with the Army Corps of Engineers to split the cost. But the work and the laboring oar for all this would undoubtedly be pulled by the Army.
And do they have a price tag on what it would probably cost?
I'm sure they do, but they have not released that information. Now, there's a mayor's council.
Yes, you were telling me about that. Tell me more.
Of 11 towns, which are in the Rahway River Basin. And Maplewood is one of them. And Milburn is, and so is Cranford, and so is Westfield, and South Orange, and Garfield, and a number of other towns. But nobody appointed this group. Mm-hmm. This group does not have any authority. This group is simply an ad hoc bunch of mayors who got together to discuss this.
Is Mayor DeLuca one of them?
He is one of them. But the Army is treating this as if this council was representative of the interests of all the people who live in this area. And that's simply not so.
Right.
And so one of the things we have to do is get the Army and the DEP to listen to the larger voice of the community.
Do you know what Mayor DeLuca's position is on it?
Mayor DeLuca has told the Mayor's Council that he is not particularly happy with this alternative,
right.
That other alternatives do exist, and he reserves the right to pull out of the Mayor's Council if they continue to go down the route which he's unhappy with.
Now, if the dam is, what is so bad about having this dam in that area, for those who might not know, in your view?
behind the dam is a beautiful river valley,
right.
Which is full of beech trees and rhododendron.
Yes.
Which was planned and planted in part by the great park planner Olmsted in 1903. The same guy that did Central Park in New York and did parks all over the country. It is a place where, if you've walked, it's full of trails, full of wildlife, full of aquatic life, even has an endangered species or two. All of this would be wiped out in that valley because if a detention basin is built correctly, you have to remove all of the trees and all the shrubs because you can't have all of that lumber flowing into the valves, which would be part of the levee, and clogging them. So you can't have any junk behind the levee. Mm-hmm. All of that would have to go. All of that would have to be cut down. And so we lose one of the most scenic spots in the reservation, not to mention all the wildlife that lives there, not to mention Brookside Drive, because if that's eliminated, people will have to go down Wyoming or Old Short Hills Road to make up for the loss of that highway, and that would be an enormous burden.
Now, yes, and those who know Brookside Drive is probably the scenic drive through South Mountain. How much of it will be lost?
Well, the road,
amount of it,
River Valley.
The Brookside Drive.
Okay, well, if you came from...
Which I'm following a map as we speak, which I will post as well.
Let's assume you're going up the mountain between Maplewood and South Orange, and you get to the S-curves in the reservation.
Right.
Everybody knows where that is. So you go through the S-curves, and then you start to go uphill again. And you come to a traffic light on South Orange Avenue. To the right is Cherry Lane.
Yes.
And to the left is Brookside Drive.
Right.
It's really the same road, but it's called Brookside Drive.
Right.
To the left. Drive down Brookside Drive for a bit till you get to an open spot, a big meadow on your right.
Mm-hmm.
That's called Painter's Point. You take a left, and the road starts to go downhill there. Just where it goes downhill is where it would go underwater. But the flooding, but Brookside Drive, bear in mind, is elevated at that point. The flooding would continue way upriver past that point in the river valley. It just would not be up to the level of the road. Another thing to bear in mind is that this dam would bring the water level of the detention basin when it's full all the way up to the backyards of those homes in Short Hills, which are up on the top of that hill in the reservation. So that's probably not something those folks will be terribly happy with when it affects their market values.
Right, and for those who don't know, obviously South Mountain Reservation is of interest because it's used by a lot of people in Maplewood, but as you had told me, about a third of it is actually in Maplewood?
It's about a third in Maplewood, a third in Millburn, and a third in West Orange.
This specific section is in Millburn, though, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, but obviously of interest to us.
Yeah, the whole reservation is obviously something which Maplewood uses for recreation, as does Millburn, as does West Orange, as do, by the way, residents of many other Essex County communities who travel on South Orange Avenue and come there to hike, to picnic, to fish, to do all sorts of activities.
And for those who might want more information on this, where should they go?
Well, we are putting that together right now. Right now, the Facebook page, which carries most of the information, is my own.
Yes.
But there will be a Save Our Reservation Facebook.
So if they find you on Facebook, they can find the information.
Yes, they can.
Even if they're not friends, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, I'm no Facebook techie.
Right.
But if you can get to my Facebook page, you can find the information.
Yes, and the group that's being formed is going to be called what?
Save Our Reservation.
And it'll have its own information and areas to get information soon.
Yes.
And of course, you can always reach out to any and all public officials, Mayor DeLuca or other mayors of Millburn, of South Orange, and it doesn't hurt to let the governor's office, since, as you said, he's considering approval of this as well.
Yes.
And I'm big on reaching out to public officials and telling them what you think. I always say they work for you. And now, what else are you? Now, you had your green drinks on Monday night, correct?
Yes.
What was that? Just to give a quick update on that.
I have to tell you that I was not able to go to that. That's the first green drinks I've missed.
Well, you're allowed.
I was not able to go to that one, but I'm sure it was a good one.
What was the topic there, or do you know?
It had to do with sustainable agriculture, I think.
Excellent. And what other things are of interest in your many busy areas of the environment and legal work?
Well,
or should we ask?
For right now, because to tell you the truth, to save our reservation is so important that it's really taking the great majority of my time. We hope to have, by the end of the day, we hope to have 10,000 people on a petition to oppose this thing.
Excellent.
So,
and we'll look for more information on that.
Yeah.
Can I ask you quickly, since we have you,
Sure.
your thought on the growing changes in Maplewood Village, both the Women's Club purchase and the post office development plan? I saw you at one meeting. We chatted briefly. Where do you think the post office plan goes or should go?
Well, I don't want to get into the weeds on design and construction schedules and so forth, but both of these things were projects which I supported when I was the mayor.
Right.
I had always thought that the Women's Club parking lot was a wasted asset, that it could be utilized for general parking, and as you know, tried for a long time to reach agreement with the Women's Club on how to share that, but that was never fruitful. So the fact that the town now owns it and is able to make this available in general to the citizens of Maplewood, I think is a plus. How that building should be used is something that is going to have to be worked out over time. I think it may require some more some partnership with some commercial interests in order to make the thing workable over time. But that's, as I say, fine-tuning. In terms of the post office, as you know, this is another thing that I worked on for years. And, by the way, so did mayors for a long time. Try to get the post office used to the idea that the lease would run out sometime and that we would want that land back because that land is incredibly valuable, if not the most valuable part of real estate in Maplewood. So I'm all for development of that area, and as to the exact design of the building, I'm not going to weigh in because that's an ongoing process. But I am in favor of it, and I am in favor of giving Kings more room, and then using the space across the street, which Kings has, for some other beneficial purpose to be determined.
And I don't think a lot of people realize it was Maplewood that kicked the post office out.
It's Maplewood's land.
I think most people were under the impression that the post office wanted to leave, and for whatever reasons, but I was told that the lease ended and Maplewood, the town, would not renew the post office as a tenant. I don't think most people knew that. What do you recall what they were paying, what the post office pays to lease that land, or ballpark figure?
No, but it's a pittance, and it was a.
It's well below what will hopefully be made later.
Oh, yeah, way below. And the worst part about it was a decreasing rent.
Really?
Yeah, every year it got less.
Typical government. Federal government scam, not local government.
Right.
But I think a lot of people are concerned that the building is too high and too dense. But I think most people also are realizing that just because there was a rendering and a plan put out, that nothing is approved until it's approved. But that's for another matter. So the last word on the reservation, go to the Fred Profeta page on Facebook, email and get involved in this committee, Save the Reservation, that's going to be organized. Let your opinion be known to local, county, and state level officials who have a say in this. And we'll keep up to date on this dam project that could cause problems at South Mountain Reservation.
Let me add one detail.
Sure.
I don't think I did. My email address, for people who are interested, in supporting this is frp713@gmail.com.
Excellent. And we'll put that up with this podcast as well for those who want to copy it down and hopefully get some kind of description of where the land is on a map to show them. But it's definitely an issue of interest that we won't stop looking at in the near future.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, sir, as always. Be well.
You too. Bye-bye.